Hey patrons, welcome to Mountain Beast Mysteries. I'm really sorry for missing last week's video. I had a really bad cold, which I received from my girlfriend, and it was awful. I had it for like over a week, and there were days when my nose was just like uncontrollably running, and I couldn't stop it, so it really sucked. It was one of those colds, you know, where you can really feel it in your head, like you feel a pressure in your head and in your sinuses, and it wasn't very good. But I'm going to go over the questions you guys left in the comments from the last video. But after that, I'm going to show you guys a little clip of something very strange and interesting that I came across last Saturday. I was out exploring with my stepdad, and we got a little bit lost, and then we kind of stumbled upon this strange site along the North Saskatchewan River in a natural area. So it wasn't like private land, and it wasn't, you know, an actual like provincial park, but it was like designated a natural area. And this segment that I'm going to show you is also going to be in the next, the Supernatural Sasquatch video, the part 2. So I'm going to incorporate it into that. And then this weekend I'm actually heading out to film some stuff for that as well. And with any luck, you know, that film will be done in the next couple weeks. I'm hoping. I always say, like, I'll give you guys like a general estimate, and then it always ends up taking a bit longer, just because, you know, a lot of times I'll run into problems when I'm editing or when I'm uploading. Lately, YouTube has been really strange in uploading. I think the last video I posted, I had to try and upload it like 5 times because it would get to a certain point in the upload and then it would just stop. So that was really annoying. But anyways, let's get into these questions. So Anthony writes, "Hi Justin, thank you for this. I think the reason I like Mountain Beast Mysteries is because I feel I trust you and I'm impressed with your maturity and attitude on this subject. Would like to hear more about your background. How old are you? How did you get into the whole Bigfoot thing?" And he asks about, you know, if I have any other paranormal interests. Was it my dad's experience or something else? And he would also like to hear about my opinion on the Dyatlov Pass incident, which I did make a video about not that long ago, where I go quite in depth into that case. I might as well start with that. The Dyatlov Pass thing, after looking into it quite thoroughly, I lean more towards the idea that there was some sort of explosion, whether it be, you know, there was this theory, and it still is, I think, the best theory, that the Russian military was testing these airborne parachute mines that are set to detonate above the ground. And it just makes sense when you look at all the evidence and where the bodies were found and the condition they were found in, you know, partially clothed with no footwear, and it can be attributed, I think, to you know, something very extreme and fast and powerful happening very quickly. So like an explosion, something that is like instantaneous, where you don't have time to like get dressed or anything. Things are happening in the air around you, and you got to get out of there, and you don't have time to prepare for it. So, you know, you look at the Dyatlov Pass case and you look at photos of the area, it's pretty obvious that there was never any avalanche, and, you know, there hadn't been a reported avalanche in that area in a very long time, which is interesting. And it makes sense when you see the images. That slope, for whatever reason, doesn't get a lot of snow built up, and like the slope and everything, it just doesn't make sense that it's an avalanche. And like the tent was still in the same spot, it was more or less intact, you know, despite being cut open from the inside and whatnot. I am leaning towards the idea that it was, you know, some sort of explosion, even though, you know, they didn't really find any metallic evidence that I'm aware of. They might have found debris of some kind, but who knows? There's always the possibility that, you know, evidence was recovered and hidden away. You know, how shitty would it be for a group of college kids to all get killed, you know, and it being blamed on the military? They'd probably want to cover it up. So I think that's totally possible. I do honestly think the least likely scenario in that case is the Yeti or the Bigfoot. It just doesn't make sense. You know, they found footprints, but, you know, there was 8 people, I think, running around without shoes on, pretty much. You know, with a couple weeks going by before their bodies being discovered, the footprints that they left behind could easily like deteriorate or change shape or form, just, you know, having the weather take a toll on them, the sun beating down on it. You know, you all know what that is like. You know, you think you found like a Bigfoot track, it looks so big, but, you know, as time goes on and the sun keeps melting away at a track, it can make it look a lot bigger than what it actually is. And there's that mysterious photo with the being or the creature peeking out from the trees, and I just think that is a person. It doesn't fit the dimensions of Bigfoot at all. It looks like a human being, to be honest. But I don't know. The whole case is just crazy. And it'll be a mystery probably forever. I don't think we'll ever find out what happened. Getting into Bigfoot, like, I had always been interested in the Bigfoot topic. Like, since I was a little kid, my dad and I would rent documentaries, you know. There was even like some feature films, like some dramatic movies I remember watching, and they kind of scared me as a kid. I remember there was one in particular, I can't remember what it was called, but I was actually too scared to watch it because I didn't like the way the little Bigfoot creature looked. It kind of scared me. But yeah, we used to rent all kinds of documentaries like that, not just Bigfoot. I remember watching a lot of films about like crop circles and UFOs and alien abduction, so I was exposed to that kind of stuff at a pretty young age, so I had always been interested in it. I didn't start taking the Bigfoot topic seriously though until maybe like a year before I made the first WILDMAN film. And that was because, you know, my dad had this experience, this rock throwing experience that he believes is real, and that actually happened. So I trust him, and that's why, you know, I felt it was enough to go on to make a film. At the time, I was looking for, you know, some sort of topic to make a documentary film on. I knew I wanted to make a movie of some kind, and it just made sense that, you know, that was the topic because, you know, I was very outdoorsy. You know, I went to school for adventure tourism and outdoor recreation, so learning how to be an outdoor guide and, you know, taking care of people in the backcountry. And so I was into hiking and doing all that kind of stuff, so it just made sense that I could like put together all the things I like into one, you know, project. I liked cameras, I liked shooting video, I liked hiking, I liked being outside, and I liked the mystery aspect of the Bigfoot phenomenon. So it made sense that that is what I chose, and, you know, ever since then it just kind of snowballed into this big thing, and now I'm like doing investigations all the time, and I haven't stopped looking into it. And we have Mountain Beast Mysteries, so, you know, it's kind of cool how that happened. How old am I? I'm 27. I'll be 28 in June. So, I'm not that old. When I meet people in real life, though, they always assume for some reason that I'm in my 30s. It's like, come on. I don't think I look that old. Maybe the beard kind of makes me look older than I actually am. I don't know. Like other paranormal interests, yeah, like I'm super into like UFOs, and I've seen, the thing is, I don't know why I didn't like pursue the UFO topic, because now that I look back on it, it would have been way easier to like potentially record actual evidence. Like I haven't filmed Bigfoot yet, I haven't found one and been able to film it, but I have seen weird stuff in the sky that I could have filmed and showed you guys. And I know people who have seen weird things, and Rob from the Alberta Sasquatch Organization, he actually investigated a crop circle down by Stettler years back. He actually went and he chartered an airplane, and he went up in the sky and was like taking photos of it. So it's kind of cool. Alberta has a lot of UFO sightings, and you know, they do say that Nordegg is, well, yeah, like it's not just the Bigfoot hotspot, but Nordegg apparently is also the UFO hotspot of Alberta, and even like up into Hinton and Edson. I don't know why. I think a lot of, well, the majority of UFO sightings definitely happen in like rural areas. When you're in a city, you're not really looking up in the sky. Nobody is gazing at the stars in the city because there's so much light pollution. So not a lot of people are looking. The majority of people aren't looking for things in the sky, you know. But when you're out in the country, in the rural areas, and you can see the stars on a clear night, you're like, wow. And then you're actually looking for, you know, a brief amount of time. It makes it much easier to see strange things. And I guess, yeah, I am pretty sure there's like ghosts. I'm certain there's something behind that. I did one of the earliest Mountain Beast Mysteries videos. Was on an incident that I had when I was like 9. I want to say I was 9, and where I seen this apparition. You know, in the middle of the night, I woke up out of nowhere, and there was this being standing in the walk-in closet that was right across from the bed, and it was like the perfect shape of a man. I couldn't tell if it was a man, but that's just the feeling I got, that it was this like daunting being just like looming over like the bed watching me, and I was just like frozen watching it. And people are like, oh yeah, it's sleep paralysis. I'm like, yeah, like it could be. But then again, I did build up the strength to actually get out of my bed and run out of the room. You know, I wasn't just paralyzed and looking at this thing and I fell back asleep. I actually, like, I was fully awake. I ran out of the room and into the living room of this place where my dad was. He was in the living room with his friends, and they were watching TV, and I ran out into the living room, and I'm crying, and I said I saw a ghost, and they all laughed at me. So, and then they made me go back in that room and sleep in there for the rest of the night, so that kind of sucked. But I think there's other things out there that we can't explain. For some reason, you know, my luck with Bigfoot is just awful. And who knows, maybe I will never see one, but I guess the more you go out in the wilderness, the higher your odds are of actually seeing something. So Tyler writes, as a community as a whole, would it not be beneficial to not be concerned with what the creature that a Sasquatch actually is? The Sasquatch community, I feel we are really hindering one another by arguing and bickering whether Bigfoot is flesh and blood or is an interdimensional being. After all, we are looking into the same thing. Would it not be better to figure out to find one first and ask those kinds of questions later? Yeah, I mean, we are all looking for the same thing. The question is, what is it? And I don't think we'll know until we like have one. I don't know if we ever will. Certainly won't have one captured if it's a supernatural being. You know? It is kind of silly. Like, the Bigfoot community is so divided, and there's so many different like subgroups, and like, I don't know. There's private groups all over Facebook that believe, oh, like it's a dogman creature, or it's a supernatural creature, or it's you know, misidentified. I don't know. It's like some sort of like ancient human or a great ape. You know, there's all the different theories. I'm open to pretty much anything. I do find the dogman thing kind of strange. Yeah, like there is people who are claiming that there's different types of Bigfoot too. So not just supernatural and like a physical being, but like different types. So there's the dog face kind of looking one. There's one that has more of like an ape-like face, and then another one that's more like humanoid. So like there's variation in like the dimorphism, I guess is what you'd call it. Then again, like that could be totally possible. I mean, you look, there's so many different species of great ape. They all look different, and there's a huge amount of variation in people, in human beings. So it's totally possible, you know, that there's different physical characteristics of Sasquatch, maybe depending on where they're located, or like gender. And of course, something, if you look at like a puppy, it looks a lot different than like a fully grown dog. There could be a huge difference other than size in what like a young Sasquatch looks like compared to like an old one. But I don't know, we're not going to know these things. I don't think we'll ever find out, honestly. We're not going to capture a Bigfoot if it's real. Those are just my opinions. If you came, this is from Alexander, if you came face to face with a Sasquatch, what is your honest opinion of how you would react? That's a good question. I know I would be scared shitless. Because if you watch the last video, the last documentary, The Supernatural Sasquatch, I kind of explained like that when I heard the footsteps in the woods, I felt at that moment that there was a Sasquatch and it was real. Like, the feeling in my head was like, oh my god, they're real and they're coming at me, and like I froze. So that is essentially how I think I would react. I would just freeze and I'd be just totally freaked out. I think over, you know, the more that kind of thing happens, like the more used to that feeling you get, and then you can actually think and use your brain. Like, the ideal thing to be able to do would be to like hear something and then, you know, have it click in your head that you need to record it and film it, and, you know, be like consciously doing that. But I don't know, when you're extremely scared, it's hard to think about those things. It's very difficult. And that's why I think in this day and age of, you know, everyone having a cell phone with a camera on it, I think it's still extremely hard to get these things on film, and we have more anecdotes than, you know, video clips. Anybody that says that they wouldn't be scared if something like that happened, like coming face to face with this huge like ape creature, anybody who says they wouldn't be scared of that is a liar, I think. I think it would freak out the bravest people on the planet. Tyler also says, got my Mountain Beast mystery shirt in the mail after work. Highlight of my day for sure. That's awesome. I appreciate anyone who goes to the Spreadshirt shop and picks up a t-shirt or a hoodie. Like, that helps out so much. Even just like, it costs a lot to go out to these places. It all adds up when you're like fueling up your vehicle every so often, and you're buying food, and you gotta get an extra piece of camera equipment or something stops working. Any kind of support in that sense, like financially, helps out quite a bit, whether it be, you know, Spreadshirt or Patreon. Like, you guys are all on Patreon, so that is awesome. Donations by PayPal, anything like that. It really helps future expeditions too. Like, if I want to do a really big expedition, like if everyone bought like a t-shirt or a hoodie, we could put together probably like, we could put together a pretty insane expedition this summer. You know, I actually ordered one, the Mountain Beast Mysteries hoodie, and it's actually like, the quality was very nice. It's nice and warm, and it was very soft. So the Spreadshirt stuff's actually pretty good quality. But anyways, that's all the questions that I see on that last video in the comment section. I mentioned at the beginning I was going to show you guys a clip, or a few clips of, you know, a segment from the next Supernatural Sasquatch film, the part 2 of the series, I guess. There might even be a part 3, I don't know. The situation was very strange. We came upon this site on the shore of the river, or like the North Saskatchewan River where this was, it's a very braided river. There's not just one channel. In some spots it goes all over the place, and this was kind of off of the main river, and we ended up getting lost. To like, not extremely lost. We knew kind of where we had to go, but it kind of like, being lost kind of led us to this weird site on the shore of this like branch of the North Saskatchewan River, where there was all these remains of dead cows. I think it was 3 cows in a bowl. There might have been more. Like, there were some spots where you would look further down the river and you would see like a jawbone, or you could see something in the distance, but we didn't really go explore that far. But you had like a bull skull, cow skulls, piles of, I don't know what you call it, whatever the cow ate. You know, like the stomach contents of the cow when it died. It would just be like a big pile of green grass, essentially. And the cows would rot away. But there was an incredible amount of missing bones. One cow had like all the skin attached to the head of it still, and everything else was gone. And I think I counted 9 of the like lower parts of the legs, all, you know, dismembered at the same spot. Now, dismembered, I don't know if that's the word to use. After looking into it, like I looked at diagrams of like cow anatomy, and at the bottom of their hooves there's like 2 joints there. So I'm thinking it was just, it broke off at the upper joint. I'm not sure though. It's just, it was weird because there was only the lower parts of the feet. There was no like femurs, or, you know, there's just the bottom parts where the hooves are. And no, like, barely any rib cage. I think there was like 1 section of ribs that we found. The spines, everything were gone. The hips, everything was gone. So skulls, a lot of skin, and, you know, the bull skull was probably the most interesting part. It looked like it had a kind of a clean cut on the back of it. It was just very strange. And then across this, you know, the stream, this branched off channel of the North Saskatchewan on this hillside, there's this structure, and it almost looks like an outhouse, but there's a window on it, and it's facing this spot pretty much perfectly. It almost looks like where someone would sit and observe something happening. Either that, or it's like a hunting blind. Maybe the window slides open and you can put a rifle through it. We are going to go back and investigate that little shack. We just didn't at that time because we didn't want to walk across the ice. But we're pretty sure now that there's a road where we could take, or we can just hike in from the backside and get to it. Because it'd be interesting to see if there's anything in there. And the other weird thing I need to mention, because this is important, is that this isn't private land. There is no reason why there should be somebody's cows there, somebody's cattle. And we know there's somebody's cattle because the bull had the tag still on it. If somebody was killing these cows, whether it be, like, the theories are way out there. Like, we were thinking at first it was like a wolf kill site. So all these 4 or 5 cows came to the spot and all got attacked by like wolves and died there. Seemed kind of weird. There was no evidence of any like wolf or wolves in the area. We were thinking maybe it was a bait site. Maybe there was poachers, because we have this building on the other side kind of observing this spot. Maybe they drug out these dead cows, or body parts, you know, of these dead cows to like bait in wolves or some other sort of animal and shoot them. But that didn't make sense either. Because I feel like if it was a poacher, they would take the tag off of the ear, so they wouldn't be able to trace that cow back to a certain farm. It was just very strange. And just the idea that somebody drug cows out to this spot that wasn't on private land, and it was in a natural area, like a designated natural area, seemed very odd. You know, the other possibilities are that it was maybe like a sacrificial killing or something, or there's like a cult or something like killing these animals, which is not far off, because our neighbor, like that lived next to my parents' acreage there, they recently last summer had one of their bulls mutilated, and it had certain body parts removed, like the genitalia and whatnot. So that has been happening not too far away from this location. But the other very interesting thing is that my stepdad had a very strange like visual sighting of a light orb, some sort of UFO, unidentified flying object, pretty much almost in that exact same spot, like maybe like 500 yards away, at this camp location that we were trying to get to, but we ended up getting lost, so we didn't actually go to the camp area. But that's why we were there. He was going to show me that spot where he had this weird sighting, and he'll explain it in the video clip. You'll see that. So maybe it was aliens. I don't know. There's so many weird theories, or maybe it's a Bigfoot kill site. I don't know. I'll let you guys decide. You can see the footage, but I just thought it was weird. If you have any other theories, also let me know in the comments below. Very strange, but that's all I have for today's video. Enjoy the footage you're about to see. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.
There's a cow head there. But look at that, there's a bull skull.
This is the inside.
Jeez. There's another one here.
It's like the feeding grounds
for Sasquatch. Oh, look at that carcass laying there.
I know.
When do you just find a pile of dead horses or dead cows that all died in the same spot?
Legs. Just chewed.
So that's like what they
I think
ate,
it's from wolves.
right?
I think this is all wolf killed.
That's insane.
There's a cow head.
Yeah.
There's a cow and there's a wolf. It's nasty, eh?
Yeah.
I'll mark this spot. Kill
Yeah,
site.
there looks just like a little shack of some kind.
Sniper in there shooting cows as they walk past.
Maybe somebody's in there watching us right now. But just look at all the legs lying around.
I know, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4
Four.
skulls. There's another skull right there.
Yeah. That's crazy how they could
Actually,
take.
5.
Yeah, there's one on this.
Unless that's
Or that might be the lower jaw of this guy.
Yeah, that's the lower. There we go. Okay, well, that's got sorted out. We don't have to go that way. We gotta go that way.
Really?
Yes.
What?
This is getting totally bizarre. Look, it is accurate. We are on the right side of the river. Because look, this is where I said I was going to mark it. And then we walked over to the kill site. Well, we're right here.
Yeah.
Well, the truck is over here.
So we're going that way.
We have to go that way.
That way.
Yeah, essentially what we're following here is the old riverbed. I know where we are now, but this is just weird because when I first looked at it, I'm like, how could we possibly be there? But we are.
Well,
We're on this side of the water because when we were at the truck, we crossed this. That's all that ice.
yeah.
This is where the North Saskatchewan River sometimes runs, and right now it is.
Do you think this site is foreshadowing the next hour?
Oh, remember I did say I saw that light out here. It was an alien predator. Like what gnaws the wolves?
I don't know.
Cut legs off.
I don't-
Like that looks like a clean cut, doesn't it?
Well, let's look. I don't know.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, the bones are just, they kind of, there's another one here.
So they could be examined. They look like they've been cut off with a saw, don't they?
Well,
Or not?
I don't know.
Or am I just exaggerating the story?
It's wet. I don't want to touch that. It's kind of smooth, but it doesn't look like it was cut with a saw. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 that I can see from this spot. Gross. I find it weird though that the bodies like rot away.
That doesn't look like a soddy.
Does
How
it?
clean it is.
But it's just weird how they're all cut off at the same spot.
Well, yeah. That totally looks like it. Like, is there a...
Look at this.
There isn't a joint there, is there, in a cow's leg?
I don't know, but where's the rest of the leg? And something just pulled that skin right off of it? Like,
Yeah, because usually
it's like a blanket of skin.
when well, I've never personally seen a wolf killed before,
But I don't know, maybe I kind of want to go check out that shack and see what's in there, but I don't want to walk across that thin ice.
yeah, I don't know how thick that ice is. That's the scary thing. If you go through them,
A real mystery.
yeah, but it just looks way too clean.
I know.
Like even now, doesn't that look?
Yeah, that looks kind of weird.
I don't know. Never seen anything like it myself.
I find it weird that these are all...
I'm gonna take some pictures and send them to my dad. And where did the I guess to me the crazy thing is I've never seen any cattle over here. Like, where did these cows come from? Because this is a peninsula.
This isn't,
Like,
like,
there's
this
nothing-
isn't private land.
I
Is
don't
it?
think, no, it's not private land. It's crown land, and this is washed out Saskatchewan natural area.
So like
So,
4 or
I've
5
never seen any-
cows,
What's that?
4 or 5 cows got out somewhere and all came to this spot and died.
Yeah. Apparently.
Freaky. But
It looks like a perfect little poacher shot. Like it's got a window in it. Right?
yeah. That might make sense why there's a bunch of like hooves. Somebody just cut off a bunch of hooves and drug them out here.
To use them as bait.
Yeah, but then it doesn't make sense why there's,
An entire cow
yeah.
and all the stomach contents. That would mean you'd have to.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
I drove down the road, down that road we were walking on before we crossed into the bush, and I kept following it, and it comes around to the other side, and then I camped at that site. And if we were over there, we'd be looking at the other side of the North Saskatchewan River because it runs this way. You can see where the bank of it is over there.
Yeah.
There's cut through. But when I was in the camper, I woke up at night, and I was about, you can see this bank, and then that second bank way over there with the trees on it.
Yeah.
That's about how far across the river it was to the other side. And from here to past that bank would have all been boulders. And I was up on a bank like that. And I woke up at 12 o'clock midnight. And I looked out the for some reason looked out the side window, those side windows we have, and I seen a light coming down. It was below the tree line of those trees. So it was about from me to that biggest tree right there in the middle on the bank.
Yeah.
It was about at that height, a little lower. And it came along like this, and then it went, went away, and then it came back again.
Like how long after?
Like maybe 5 minutes later, it came back again, and then it went away again. Like it was weird, dude.
What
Like,
color was it?
It
Like
was
white
just,
or?
yeah, just kind of like a white light,
No sound.
no sound. And I would have heard something because
Yeah.
I mean, it was dead quiet out there, and the windows were open.
And you didn't
It
see
was
anyone
fog.
else like during the day?
No. Well, no. During the day, I saw a guy on a quad. I mean, there is people around here, right? But
It's freaky.
I'll admit my heart rate was going up because it was one of those things where, you know, your mind wants to figure out what's there.
Yeah.
But if your mind can't explain it, then it starts jumping to conclusions, right?
Yeah.
That's the weirdest thing I've seen because the only thing I can explain, the only explanation to come up with is like a drone.
Yeah.
But you would have heard a drone.
Drones are super loud.
Yeah. I would have heard a drone, but the way
in the dark.
The way that it was flying was like a drone.
Yeah.
Because it didn't.
It could just stop and then go the other way.
Yeah, it just changed directions like that.
But not very many drones fly at night.
Yeah.
Especially out here.
It was pitch dark,
Yeah.
midnight. Well, it wasn't pitch dark. It was.
It's like it saw you.
It was midnight, but there was a fair bit of moonlight or whatever.
Yeah. It's like it came down, saw you, took off.
Came
and
back
then
for a second look and then took off. I'd be interested to show this to maybe like Ken or somebody like that.
Yeah,
and
to
ask
see
him
if
do you think this is a mutilation, like a cattle mutilation? Because you know how that's been happening, right?
Yeah.